Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. Calling Chaska Parks Commission to order. Roll call, please, Mary.
Chair David Downs. Vice Chair Jason Branch.
Here.
Elizabeth Wyving.
Here.
Georgianne Keyport.
Here.
Zach Saresi.
Here.
Danielle High-Eye.
Here.
Carly Sitch.
Here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Next, adopt the agenda. Any changes that any of you've seen in the agenda as it was delivered?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Motion to adopt.
I second. I second.
Thank you.
Next, visitor presentation. Seeing none, we'll move to approving previous meeting minutes. Any discrepancies or changes that any of you seen? Okay, hearing none, I will again ask for a motion to approve previous meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Next is receive council and planning meeting minutes. No need for a motion here, just to receive the minutes. Anybody have any discussion on these items?
I just wanted to note that it was interesting that Councilmember Wong had pointed out a spelling error in the minutes that they had
I saw
received in
that.
theirs. I found that incredibly impressive.
I was like, oh, is
guy.
that what we're supposed to
Yeah,
be reviewing for? I was like, oh, okay.
I was reading through it, and I said, oh my, wow, and he's my ward rep. I mean, it's got a little bit of a praise there, but I was just super impressed by that. So now I'm like, man, have I been missing spelling errors this entire time?
Well, maybe it was important.
Yeah.
Maybe it made a
I
difference.
thought that was impressive. I just wanted to throw that out there. So clearly, I'm not the only one that appreciated that, so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach. Okay, the council and planning minutes consider received. Next item on the agenda is action items. And a recommendation for city council appointment of Parks and Recreational Commission Chair and Vice Chair.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Happy New Year, by the way, huh?
Happy New Year.
Happy
Yeah,
New Year.
welcome to
New Year,
2022.
Marshall and Mary.
Yeah, so this first action item in front of you is something that we do annually. And so really this is the city council appointing the chair and vice chair for the commission. And so they rely on the recommendation coming from the commission. And we had spoken about this at our last meeting, and I had indicated that in my conversations with current chair Dave Downs and vice chair Jason Branch, that they're both interested and willing to continue to serve in those roles. But obviously, there's an opportunity if anybody else wanted to come forward. The feeling I got was everybody seemed generally comfortable with them two moving forward. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and just start with the chair position and see if there's a motion to recommend to City Council the appointment of Dave Downs to continue in the chair position. So if any of you would like to make that motion.
I'd motion for that.
Okay. So, got a motion from Commissioner Sosareg and a second.
I'll second that motion.
All right, and a second from Commissioner High-Eye. Any discussion on that item? Words of encouragement for Dave. I know he's watching on YouTube, so.
He'll do a great job, as
Great.
always.
does.
Doing great, Dave. Keep it up.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Okay, so that motion is approved. So then, the second position, we'll ask for a motion for a recommendation to City Council to appoint Commissioner Jason Branch as Vice Chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission.
I so motion.
Was that Okay,
I motion.
Commissioner Hai,
I second.
and second, Commissioner Wiving. Any discussion on that item?
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, guys.
I support you.
Thank you.
Great, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. All right, congratulations to Dave and Jason. Look forward for you to
Thank you.
continue in those roles. And then, just so you're aware too, currently, city council is in the midst of interviewing applicants for the, all of the commissions for the city. And so I believe they will be having a discussion during a work session at their January 31st meeting. And then they'll make their appointments at their first meeting in February. But we did receive some additional applications with interest on the Parks and Recreation Commission. So I anticipate we'll have a full commission.
Nice.
Either right away in February or for sure in March. Our youth commissioner, Jalen, did not reapply. So we do have to backfill that role. We've got a communication out to a contact at the school district that's helped us fill that in the past. So we'll continue to try to get our youth representation on the board as well.
That's
But
important.
Marshall,
super thankful for Jalen for his service over the last year, and
Yeah, he
wish
was
him
great.
well into the future.
are the applications for the regular commission positions, is that closed?
Yes,
Okay,
yep,
but then for the youth position, that's still open?
that's still open.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, action item 7B is a recommendation for the city council appointment of 2 commissioners to represent the citizen task force for the community center master plan. And so I think we've had some discussion about this, but ultimately, I'll give an update on where we're at with the master plan, but as part of that planning process, we are putting together a citizen task force that will, ultimately represent the community voice. And that task force is going to be made up of about 16 individuals. And we'll have representation from city council and each of the commissions, along with trying to get representation from community education and a representative from the school board. And then there's remaining community, I would say, openings that would be representation for current community center members, and then just in general, non-members. So tonight, you got a question?
Just a question, are any of that representation, in terms of duration of input, a one and done, or is it throughout the whole process, all of these different folks?
So this citizen task force will essentially sort of join in on the project once we kick it off, which we're anticipating late February, early March, as long as we stay with our current timeline. In my expectation is the citizen task force will meet probably 5 or 6 times, probably be up to a 2-hour meeting in the evening.
Okay.
So it'll probably be generally once a month, maybe once every other month, depending on the duration of the project. But I think the duration of the project will be right around 8 months long.
Okay.
Yep. I think the other thing I'd like to mention, you know, we'll ultimately have the conversation to see which two of you want to participate on this particular task force. But just keep in mind, if you're not on this task force, there's going to be some other up-and-coming projects to be involved with. You know, another big one in particular will be the Southwest Chaska Community Park, where we'll be developing a master plan for that, probably starting sometime late summer in the fall of this year. So that'll be another significant master plan and community engagement process there too. And the other thing too is, even if you're not on the actual task force, the whole idea is, as a representative, you're bringing information back to report at our monthly meetings. You know, and everybody can, at that point, weigh in and offer ideas or ask questions. And then that ultimately comes back to that task force group. So two people kind of serve on the task force, but really everybody's involved throughout the process, just as we're keeping everybody updated.
Great.
If that makes sense. So yeah, I'll throw it back to you guys if you want to just have a discussion and see which two of you are interested in serving on this particular task force.
And does anybody, any further questions about, you know, what it involves or anything like that? Okay. Does anybody have interest in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm super
Anybody else?
passionate about potentially participating. I'd be honored to be one of the two that were chosen. I've worked in different athletic and rehab centers for my entire career, and in particular, I'm really interested in bringing the, not single female anymore, but single female perspective, because you really see in lots of different facilities, women feeling very pigeonholed in what areas they're allowed to participate in fitness centers. And so that would be the perspective that I'd really be pushing, is perhaps the wrong word, but trying to represent. I mean, I want to get high school girls getting into the weight room themselves. Plenty of high school boys, and that's great too, but that would be kind of the angle I would be bringing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to be a part of it.
Okay. Anybody else?
My husband's going to be on it, so that's why I think
Okay,
I can
all right.
pass.
I mean, no, I think both of you are great candidates. In my mind, I was actually hoping that two of you would be the step up. Zach, I know you're heavily involved in the community center.
I love the community center.
I know you do. You mean that. And I think that it's great. I think you two would be perfect for it. So.
Awesome.
Carly,
Oh.
do you have interest, or are you?
Just the pool, guys.
Like 30 lanes, please.
No. I want it to be kid friendly and like all of that, and like really good for the swim lessons. But you know,
Okay, great.
that's all I'm interested in. I'm just in the pool.
Okay.
So yeah, I
I
suppose.
think we are ready for a motion to recommend Commissioner Saresik and Commissioner
Aye.
Hayai to recommend to the City Council for the Community Center Master Plan Task Force. Do I have a motion?
I second.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys.
Very
I'm really
much.
excited.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Because they have
Looking
passionate
forward to-
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very important. And we all are passionate,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
that's why we're
That's
here,
awesome.
right?
It is. That's why we're here. Okay, great. Next would be discussion items. Marshall?
Yep. Yeah, just kind of going back to that, just in terms of timeline for that appointment. So currently, we are still promoting the opportunity to the community to serve on this citizen task force. The online application is open through the end of January. And then at that point, the city staff project management team will review the applications and make a recommendation along with the various commission recommendations for the city council to appoint the entire citizen task force at their February 15th meeting. So that'll be the timeline on that.
Excellent.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, so jumping into the discussion items. So with the community center master plan, just kind of going down memory lane here in terms of where we're at in process. It was back on December 6th where the city council authorized city staff to advertise RFPs for architectural services for this project. So we got approval there. We turned around the very next day and sent those RFPs out to, I think, about 10 or 11 different architectural firms directly, and then also posted it on our website. We then hosted pre-proposal information meetings at the community center on the afternoon of Thursday, December 16th, and 2 options on Monday, December 20th. So that was an opportunity for interested firms to come to the community center. We gave a presentation about the project, talked about just some of the elements within the proposal, gave them some insight just about the citizen task force and some of the community engagement that we were interested in doing. And then I think the key thing we did was we took them on a pretty robust tour of the facility and were able to kind of point some different things out. So it gave them a really good understanding, you know, kind of what they're getting into with this project, and it was an opportunity for them to ask questions and whatnot. Really with the goal for them to have enough information to put together the best proposal that they can. So those were very successful. We got good feedback. As a result of some of the feedback, we did end up extending the deadline slightly. So we had a deadline of Friday, January 7th for the proposals. We extended it to Monday, just yesterday at noon. And then we also eliminated the need to submit hard copy versions of the proposal. Just because that takes almost a week just to get it to a print shop and mail it or bring it in person. So that bought them a little bit more time, and so all they had to do was submit it electronically. So they were appreciative of that. So that deadline has passed as of yesterday. We ended up receiving 2 proposals from 2 what I think are very reputable architects that have a lot of experience with recreation facilities. So those 2 architectural firms are HGA. They're more of a local firm. And then the other firm was Perkins and Will. And they've got offices all across the country and have done work across the country. So we're currently in the process of the city staff project management team reviewing those proposals. And I've asked for their feedback to be completed by the end of the day tomorrow. And then we'll be meeting as a project management team Thursday morning to just have discussion about the 2 proposals. Kind of try to understand what the differences are, but ultimately we'll take that next step and interview both of the architectural firms. And from there, my plan will be to bring back a recommendation to you for your next month's meeting in February that's really representative of that project management team. So then just be looking for your recommendation to then take it to city council for their approval as the next step. So yeah, I think everything's so far going as planned and on schedule, and look forward to taking the next steps and bringing on an architectural firm and continuing to shape that citizen task force. So, any questions related to that project so far?
I think this maybe was brought up at a previous meeting, but what is the projected budget for this project?
In terms
Do you
of,
guys have a number that you're working with right now?
in terms of like the actual recommendation of what types of
Just what's a ballpark?
remodeling or
Yeah, like what's a
expansion?
ballpark kind of what the city is willing to put forth to do this whole project?
We haven't even really put any limit, I guess I would say, on that
Okay.
at this point, so.
Because then it's one thing to get, we go through a process about what the community wants. We have a firm that'll price that out for us then, so we have a dollar amount to put to that, and there's a timeline for that, but is it a $3 million project? Is it a $30 million project? That's just what I'm just curious
Yep.
if there's been a
Well,
number actually
and
discussed.
the way the RFP really spoke to developing at least two concepts. When I did the pre-proposal meetings, I mentioned to them it's likely probably going to be three concepts, the more that I've thought about it. And I think those three concepts are generally going to fall into the following categories. A, if we didn't do really any expansion or remodeling or additions, what is it that we need to do to just maintain the asset we currently have? Knowing that we have not done a great job at accounting for deferred maintenance over the last 30 years. So there's a lot of mechanicals and things like that that are, at or beyond their lifetime, and so we got to reinvest into getting some of that stuff back up to speed. So I think that's concept one, is how do we maintain what we have. Concept two is probably looking at how do we take the shell that's currently there, and is there any reconfiguring or remodeling within that would make sense to account for the feedback we're going to ultimately get for the programming wants and needs within the community. And then I think the third one would be, that and possibly looking at if there's a desire to expand onto the building. What does that look like? And I think all three concepts need to factor in parking. Parking, even as we sit here today, is a challenge on that site.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think having some bigger discussions, especially with the school district and the school across the street, and seeing how we can maybe create more of a parking campus lot up there, and trying to figure out how we could reconfigure that road
Yeah.
that's going right through the middle of the parking. So,
There's also a blank wedge, undeveloped wedge lot that has been passed over by several developments in the last few years, just, the flooded tunnel, right over on the other side of the flooded tunnel.
yeah.
Nobody's been able to propose a building that can go there. It'd be interesting. I mean, not that you want to put in more parking lots, but it's right there.
Yep. Yeah, and so that was noted in the RFP too, that, as part of this whole master plan, we want to look at the parking as well. So, yeah, and then I think it's, obviously, we're going to rely on the architects and, what would the cost estimates be with each of those plans? And then ultimately having some discussion around which one are we going to be recommending to city council? And then from there, what are the, we got to understand what are the financing options that we can pursue,
I'm assuming the community center is paid for by now after 30 years?
Nope, there's still some debt service on like the lodge edition.
Okay.
I think there's maybe a few years left, not many. We're nearing the end of that, but
apologize for all the questions about the money, but any idea what the value of the community center is, or what it costs to build initially?
Oh,
Sorry, that's a
I
little bit
should
out
have,
there.
yeah. I don't want to overstate this, but I know that Matt Podorowski mentioned it in his report to city council. I want to say it was 20 million when it was built, but now in today's dollars, it's probably, I want to say 50+ million. I mean, so it's a major asset in our
Yeah.
community. But I'll look that up and just make sure I'm accurate on those numbers.
No, I
and
appreciate that.
follow up.
Appreciate you sharing that.
Yep.
Does any one firm already stand out to you? Does like one firm specialize in one particular aspect of a facility like the community center? Or do you have?
I haven't looked at their proposals even yet, but sort of at quick glance and understanding the two of them, just based on my research, I think they're both very capable architects. So I think it's going to kind of come into the finite details.
Do you know of any other cities near us or even in the state that have used either of the two firms?
Yep, so the city of Plymouth and Maple Grove worked with HGA.
Okay.
And then Perkins and Will has done a lot of stuff out in Colorado and throughout the US. And Colorado is really well known for parks, facilities, and community centers. And in fact, the leadership here in Chaska, prior to building the community center here, actually went out to Colorado and worked with consultants out there and got a lot of ideas. So I think there could be just a little bit of that factor, more of the local versus out of state. Although Perkins and Will, they have an office in Minneapolis. I think the fees that they're proposing are pretty darn close. I think within a couple of $1,000s of each other. And the timeline that they're proposing is almost exactly the same. So I think that's good news that we've got two firms that really see this project pretty similar. So I think that's probably a good outcome of some of the groundwork we put out ahead of time for them to understand it. So I don't think, I think it'll just be good to get perspective from the other city staff that are on this project management team and go through that interview process. It's kind of one of those where I think it's a good problem to have, where it's going to be a difficult choice, how to pick between two really good architectural firms.
I'll be interested to hear if either one of them has a recent project where they did use an existing shell, because it's great to, as an architect, start from scratch and come up with an amazing plan, but very hard to work within what's existing and still come out with something fabulous. That'll be
Exactly.
really neat to hear.
Yep, that's a good point.
Marshall, do you ever get, you said you had about 10 or so groups in, you had 2 proposals that came back. Do you ever dig in or find out from the others maybe why they weren't interested in the project or what turned them off about, the project?
Yeah, we got feedback from a few of them, and I think it was, sometimes it's just timing.
Yeah.
And so I think they're very interested, but they realized, the scope of this project is quite large. And with whatever projects they already have in the queue and, the resources they have with their own staffing, which I appreciate, I'm
it's
glad
good
that they're being
self-awareness.
honest and that it's just not the right time, and they hope that they can, partner with us on another project in the future, so. All right. Okay, next up, we've got the facility naming rights and sponsorship update. So actually, yesterday afternoon, City Administrator Matt Podorowski and Mary and I met with Kyle with he would be the project manager from the Superlative Group, along with Aaron, who is their attorney. And so we met via Zoom just to have some kind of a final wrap-up on some discussion relating to the professional services agreement, just a couple minor things, actually. So that went well. Their attorney's gonna go ahead and account for those couple of items and get the final draft to us more than likely by the end of this week. So we'll be prepared to bring this forward to City Council at their next meeting on January 24th. And so I know Dave and Zach were a part of that process. And so if you're available, it would be great to have you present at the that City Council meeting. But what I'll do is plan to give a presentation to City Council. This will be on the regular agenda for a discussion item. But I'll give a presentation and again, kind of talk them through the process on how we got to where we are, and then bring forward your recommendation to work with the Superlative Group, and then seek their approval with moving forward with that service agreement. And Kyle from the Superlative Group will be joining us just via Zoom. So he'll be available for City Council to ask questions they might have. So.
Very good. Okay, pedestrian and bicycle master plan update?
Yep. Liz, you want to give an update on this one?
Sure.
All right.
There is an updated draft now to the plan that is out just for our steering committee people to review. And that's been out there for several weeks now, and many of us have commented and provided suggestions or answered questions. And they've taken those comments into consideration and further updated their draft. And we will be meeting as a committee next week on Tuesday to kind of go over everything. And at that time, I plan to personally ask the group and the consultant to come back and just pinpoint a list of recommendations in order of what they would suggest is best for the city to move forward on in order of importance. And because I feel like as a consultant, they're doing all the right things. They're providing what is possible, what's out there, what have other cities seen successful. But then I want another layer on it and just say like, okay, now like there's everything that's available. What should we be doing with in mind that we want to maybe increase the ability of kids to walk to school? And there's grant money associated with that. And we want to apply to be a bike-friendly designated city. I mean, I know that that's a separate organization, but I'm sure that they have worked with other cities in kind of meeting those requirements as well. So what would they suggest that would, biggest impact for our dollars? Because the whole idea of this plan is not just to create more paths and where are there connections that there currently are not any. It's to get more people out walking and biking. So I don't want to lose sight of that. It's not just, there's not a path here, there's not a connection, like, we need to increase the amount of people in our city that are using these or not using these trails that are available, because we do have an extensive trail system already available. Mm-hmm. So the updated plan as it currently is not available on the website, but that eventually will be out there for the city, the residents in the city to comment on as well. And again, that website is walkbikechaska.org. So we'll keep everybody updated when that's available for city to comment. And I think, Marshall, correct me if I'm wrong, that we hope to maybe have an open house.
Yep.
Not sure with the world and its current events, if and when that's possible, but
Yeah, I can add.
hopefully people can come out, see what we've got, talk to the steering committee and Antonio, and provide further suggestions or comments.
Yep, so we are actually targeting Tuesday, February 15th
Okay,
for that public open house event. And that's going to occur at the event center. And that'll be another piece that we'll want to discuss with the project steering committee at our in-person meeting next Tuesday. Just to kind of put together some plans and what that's going to look like, because ultimately, I think it'll be a 2-hour period, I believe from 5 to 7. And so what'll likely happen is Antonio will give a 15-minute presentation just to sort of create some context at 5 o'clock-ish. And then we'll have a variety of visual boards around for people to go around and look at, and then there will be opportunity for them to comment. And so we'll probably have steering committee members at those various boards just engaging with people. And I think we'll kind of do that twice. So then around 6, most people would probably have finished going through those, and then we'll do like another presentation at 6 and another round. So that way, if people can't quite make it at 5, there'd be another opportunity later on.
maybe like a free bike giveaway from Michael's Bikes for
Yeah.
Yeah,
community members that show up.
yeah, that
Just
would
throwing
be
it out
great. I think that's something that we'll want to have discussion on is, yeah, are there some other programming things we can add to this open house event to
Make it fun.
make it fun and get people there, so.
Beer.
Donuts,
Yep.
Yep.
food.
Yeah, food.
Just the raw love of your community.
Yes, yes, and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Liz said, all of the chapters have now come out. A lot of feedback has already been given through the steering committee. And now the project management team is now taking a look at it as well. So there's some city staff on that team reviewing the draft. And then I think it'll be probably early February when it'll be available to the public. And that'll be out on the website. It's coming along.
Yeah,
exciting.
it's been a long project, but I mean, it has to be when you're taking inventory of everything and
Yep.
getting comments from the community members. You don't want to miss that vital piece. This is their tax dollars at work.
Yeah. And thank you, Liz, for your continued hard work.
It's been
on the
fun.
task force. Thank you very
I've
much.
loved it,
Your
so thank
reports
you.
have been great. Thank you. Anybody else, any questions? No? Okay,
I'd love to chat with you after the meeting about something about that.
Have your people talk to me.
okay, item 8D, department happenings.
All right, to share a few more things going on in Parks and Recreation. So this Thursday over at the Curling Center, we'll be hosting with 3 other metro area curling centers, what's called the Big Spiel. And so there's, basically it goes throughout the entire weekend. 96 teams participate. And it would be in addition, our facility along with Blaine, Frogtown and the St. Paul Curling Club. So it's a pretty neat experience. The teams actually get to play, one match at each of the 4 locations. So they get to experience the different facilities in the metro area. So that'll be exciting, and it'll be hopping over at the Curling and Event Center this weekend.
Marshall?
Yep.
One thing on that, with all these different squads and teams coming through the venue, does the curling center, do you guys ever do like rate your experience kind of thing? It'd just be nice with all these, various people. I mean, people are coming from around the country to see this. To have something maybe readily available, or almost something, I don't know whether they're handed out right as you get there, but that feedback would be really neat, especially as much, if these people are willing to travel here. I mean, they're probably willing to travel elsewhere, and they've seen, quite a few facilities. That would just be some great information I would like to have.
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if we can incorporate something,
Yeah. Even
some sort of follow-up
word of mouth,
survey.
Yeah, somebody asking questions, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Suggestion box.
Right. Yes.
I mean, I know just from what I've heard, typically the feedback we get, we have some of the best ice conditions that any curling center has.
Why do you
it's-
think that is?
We got one of the best ice makers in the country. Yeah, so Scott Belvich, takes a lot of pride, and he's been doing it for a long time, and certified ice maker. He's traveled all across the world going through trainings. And obviously being a newer facility and good mechanics and all that, but it takes somebody, it's truly an art. And so that's why we're, one of the USA Curling's national training centers, is because of the quality of our ice. And then I would say the other feedback we tend to get as it relates to the larger bonspiels, and this is sort of what we're trying to account for with this potential naming rights revenue, is just the lack of sort of that club space. So our players lounge that we have is pretty undersized compared to a lot of other facilities. So we tend to get a lot of people hanging out in the Crooked Pint, which is a good thing too, but, if they're not buying food and, things like that, it sort of turns into a quasi hanging out lounge. So there's just, could be a little bit better in that regard. And so that is one of the hopeful outcomes we're going to get with, additional revenue. Should we get a naming right partner, is looking at how can we expand onto that players lounge and really get that extended across all 6 sheets. So to kind of mimic that lower level of the Crooked Pint across all 6 sheets with glass looking out over on the opposite side. So I think that's really, probably the one thing that I think we hear is when we host larger events, there's just not a great spot for the curlers to hang out and watch other curlers.
You ever hear also a lack of accommodations in the nearby area?
Yeah, you're talking hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge for us,
Yeah.
and even think about the weddings we host there, and so, we always got to be careful about where we're sending people, so we try to be fair and really just kind of present, these are the options. But I think typically we hear most people are ending up in Shakopee or Eden Prairie, just because we don't really have great hotel here in Chaska.
Is there like someone that coordinates that kind of thing for when people come from faraway places? Like, hey, here's
options.
like maybe your itinerary while you're here. Like, we'll take you to these places and kind of get them immersed in our community and in our city, getting them. I mean, I suppose they're here just for curling, but get them shopping and eating and dining in our community. Like, I don't
Yeah, and we
know.
typically try to do things like goodie bags, and we partner with the Downtown Business Alliance and try to get them to shop locally while they're here.
Red Bench gets crazy on some of these mornings. People are like, where am I going? And you have all these people from out of town just lined up. It's great to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not as much Dunkin' Donuts, but they're an option as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really have a good measurement, but, I mean, the economic impact that that facility has on the downtown area is pretty significant. You know, and that's really the goal for us, is to hosting some of these larger events. It's really about bringing people in from the outside and bringing them into Chaska. You know, that was one of the goals of that facility. Staff's doing a good job at it.
Yeah, you know, again, with the time we are in current events, as Liz stated before, it's too bad. You think, you know, we're not a huge community, but you wonder if there'd be enough people just here and there that would say, you know, if you're having an event like this, I have an open basement, you know what I mean? To be put on a list, you know, if a team or, you know what I mean, a few people need a place to stay, you know what I mean? That'd be kind of neat too.
Kind of,
Yeah,
host.
yeah.
Host a
Now,
curling
maybe not.
team.
Well, I know our staff does,
Yeah.
because a lot of
They
our.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
great.
awesome.
A lot of the staff at the curling center open their houses.
Yeah, see,
great.
I bet if you put something out there,
They've
more
gotten to
people
know
in the
it.
community would be more
Because
than happy to
Hazeltine
do
does
that.
that too. You can host a golfer.
Yeah.
We did it for the women's PGA, and it was a ton of fun. Yeah, just who wants to volunteer to
Yeah.
host?
I think like when the Ryder Cup was here, a lot of people were renting out their homes. too.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
They left for a week and rented out their homes.
People were advertising their pools
Yeah,
in October. I'm like, no.
that's great. I'd host a team, one of the Scandinavian teams could come stay at my house. So I'm just gonna put it out
Alright.
there. It's in the minutes.
All right, we got it.
So just a few other things. So we're currently advertising for a full-time position that was formerly held by Tessa Severson. So that position is a recreation supervisor, and that oversees our community events and teen programming. So that is currently out there, and we're actually getting quite a few applications in, so that's good to see. Sometime later in January, I think it's weather dependent, but be on the lookout for the ice sculpture display in Fireman's Park again, and that gets put on by the Downtown Business Alliance. And so I know our staff are looking at, you know, partnering on some sort of a winter event with them, and we also have the fire department's ice fishing contest that'll be in early February as well at Fireman's, so good to get outdoors. And then this week, swim and skate lessons started at the community center. Both of those are, you know, really going strong, a lot of participation. And I know you had commented on this, I think last month, Zach, about witnessing some of the trainings occurring at the pool. So yeah, staff did do 2 water safety instructor trainings back in December. And so now we have 16 of our lifeguards that are now certified water safety instructors and capable of teaching swimming lessons. So we're starting to build that up and being able to offer more lessons.
Yeah, they literally like, Friday night, you know, they put a lane in there, and there was like every single lifeguard that's ever worked at the community center was in the pool at one time, and like, They were running them through the paces. It was pretty cool to see, so.
Yep, yep. So that's all I had.
Thank you very much, Marshall, for everything that we both do. Thank you. Other business, 9A, Commissioner Roundtable. Start on that end, work our way around.
I don't have anything this month.
Okay.
We saw that the ice was prepared by the city and the department, so thank you. I'm excited to get on Fireman's Lake?
Yep.
Play hole? I've heard it called so many things. We're excited to try that out this weekend. It was a hit with the kids last year, and it looks great. That's all
Yeah,
I
it
have.
took a little while with the warm weather in December, but finally it's here, and yeah, so big kudos to our Public Works Department, and the ice looks great.
Yeah.
And-
So what are the hours that people can skate, or is it just anytime, or
Yep, anytime,
anytime? Okay.
yep. There's not a warming house at Fireman's this year, but you get cold, you just go in and get a little hot chocolate over at Crooked Pine.
There you go.
But
Is it lit up at night, so you can skate?
there's a little bit of light out there.
I skated there last year in the night, and it was really nice,
Light
actually.
enough?
Yeah, it's light enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's nice.
Yeah, there's a nice little loop there, so you can
Mhm.
kind of like the old roller rink kind of thing. So, yeah.
I don't have a lot to add this week, but I will say that I've been out test marketing tubing hills in other communities, doing some market research on
Oh,
my
yeah.
own, hoping that we can someday bring something to Chaska. But went to Buck Hill in Burnsville last weekend with my daughters, and, you know, it's a nice manicured hill with lots of lanes, and they've got a nice little like escalator that brings everybody up to the top, and
Oh, yeah.
my kids just love that.
Yeah.
I loved that I didn't have to walk up a huge hill and carry all their stuff up with me.
So
But-
my question is, do you have to wait in line very long to like get back up to the top?
It wasn't bad at all. And in Buck Hill, it's just so well-known. It was just crazy busy because the temperature was, it was like last Saturday was like the one like day when it wasn't like 12 below zero. And they have lights out there. They run it till at night, and you can get a 2-hour reservation, and it costs X amount of dollars. And we're gonna go try out the Maple Grove one in a couple weeks now too, because they've got a similar thing where it's, you know, manicured hill, lanes, and it's just really family-friendly. So, and market research.
Do we have a hill that big
Planting the
here in
seed. What's
Chaska?
that?
Do we have a hill that big here in Chaska?
Bluffs, probably, don't you think?
Which one?
Just going right down the bluff, you know?
The archery range.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I would say Audubon Road, the sidewalk.
Creek Road, if we're gonna close
Oh,
Creek
yeah.
Road, you
Oh,
just get
yeah.
a nice
Yep.
tubing,
There you go.
like,
There you
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
You can make a luge.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fireman's-
I think there's, I think that, yeah, market research. So,
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. Everything's going great. Love the community center.
Straight
Having
down.
lots of fun there, so. That's all I
Thanks,
have.
Zach. Thanks. Liz?
Happy New Year. And I just want to go back to November. We had a closed meeting in November, a work session where all of us met as a board, and Marshall recapped everything that the Park and Recs Department had accomplished during 2021 and what they're looking forward to doing in 2022, and then also like visions beyond that. And I was just overwhelmed by everything that you and your team had been able to do during 2021. Like, you just kept listing stuff like Chaska Cares initiative and everything. It's just really impressive given, you know, everything that's been going on. And I just want to say thank you to you and your team for all that you do. And I think, like, it's exciting for 2022 because hopefully this will just be like less other extenuating circumstances that you guys have to do with as time goes on. And we're just going to continue to do great things. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that feedback, and that's really a testament to the team of staff I get to work with day in and day out, and just the passion that they all have to serve the community. And in fact, we're preparing for an all-department meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, where that'll be my intent to kind of celebrate our successes from the last couple of years. But it's also where, same thing, I'll lay out some of the projects we're working on, and then each of our, like our community center team, our curling and event center team, and our recreation program and event team get their opportunity to go up and present some of the different projects and plans that they're going to be working on together as well. So it's just kind of a fun time to come together as a department for an afternoon and kind of set the tone for a new year and get excited for the things to come, so.
Celebrate your wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank
You
you,
know, because
Marshall.
it's, I mean, you're right, I mean, it's still, we've done a lot, but, you know, it hasn't been easy either, like, I mean, and like for many of you in your professions, just navigating COVID the last couple of years has been kind of exhausting in a way, but you got to keep coming back to our passion.
It really has been. We're coming up on the 2-year mark. But
Yeah,
I know.
Starting in year 3.
How about you? It seems like I got brain mush from it. Like
Yeah.
dates just seem to be.
that was
Is that
I used to be
6
much
months ago
smarter and
or
much
2 years
cooler.
ago?
Oh, no.
Yeah, yeah.
You're giving them food and things, right?
What's that?
You're giving them food at this?
We will be serving
Okay,
lunch.
good.
yes,
I just
yeah.
want to make sure, like, you know,
Absolutely.
they really deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Liz.
That's great, Liz.
Where this last month has just been a blur for me, so nothing really to contribute, but I have a question. I'm curious how this year has gone, or is it met your expectations, the relationship with the arts board at the community center?
Yeah, good question. I think what I would say to that is they too have had challenges with COVID. They've had some changeover in their board. So I think that's created some challenges for them. I think the one thing I gleaned is they really depend on their board to do a lot of the work. And so, you know, if you're serving in some, you know, the president role and things like that, it's a lot of extra time you got to put into it. And so I think they're working their way through some of those things, and then obviously relying on volunteers during this time, you know, poses some challenges. But the good news is they did approve the hiring of an executive director.
Oh, good.
Not a full-time position, but I think it's half-time. And so we're excited about that. I think that provides a level of consistency for their organization, and it gives us as staff especially a little bit more of a go-to point of contact. And so, you know, I think it's still a great partnership. I think there's still some growing, you know, that we can do. But for example, the good thing to share is in the month of December, I think through the art shop, they sold $2,600. So it's their best month to date. And so per our agreement, it was the first month where we actually got some revenue share above and beyond our base rent. So I think that was good.
That is good, yeah.
And, you know, and we're, you know, and I think continually trying to figure out what is sort of that optimal balance in partnering on the various art programming and what comes with that. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Nothing major for me this week, just everybody out there in the community, get out into a park this next month, and just because there's snow doesn't mean you can't go. Right?
That's
So go and get out into the parks enjoy yourself. The skating rink is so awesome. So that park, when I drive by it at night and the bridge is lit up, it makes me smile ear to ear every time that I live in that city, in this city. So that's great, but there's a lot of options, a lot of skating rinks and sledding hills, so they may not have conveyor belts yet. Yeah, get out and enjoy the community, and that's all I have. Mary, anything?
No.
No? All right. With that said, that brings us to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Motion Saresic. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Georgianne. And we are adjourned.